Hey, happy Video Friday. Happy day after Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving and got to spend time with family, no matter if it was a small gathering like mine was with just my husband, my kids, and my puppy dog, or if you had a larger forbidden gathering. But I hope you did stay safe and help to decrease the spread of the virus that we have going on here. I know so many people have made sacrifices to do their part, so thank you to everyone. And we're gonna talk about, guess what? Not what I expected, one more time before it releases on December 6th. If you are part of my ARC team, who gets advanced copies of my book, then you already know all about the book because you've hopefully read it. I know some people have and have replied to me, so I'm pretty excited about this. It is a holiday story-ish type feeling. It has kind of a holiday mood to it, but easily can be read and enjoyed after the holidays. So I wanted to discuss this one more time. Of course, not giving you a bunch of spoilers or anything, but just because this book has a little bit more of a deeper meaning and a women's fiction feel to it. So yeah, I thought we would discuss it. That's what we're gonna do. Let's get to it. Okay, so I have a good book. I have a hot drink. It's a chai tea latte, so you can think of Lautner. Do you guys know Lautner? I don't have a cherry galette to go with it, but that's okay. So, not what I expected. Again, for those of you who are just joining my videos or my YouTube channel for the first time, this is a book that was inspired by my readers who send in things about your significant others that drive you crazy, and I put all of these into this book. And what I want to talk about a little bit today is the deeper meaning to this book, which is acknowledging your individuality, which is acknowledging that if something in your life doesn't last forever, that doesn't mean that there was a failure, that doesn't mean that anything had to be broken or that needed to be put back together, or that anyone needs to be blamed for it. And part of this book, I don't want to say that I challenge kind of religious beliefs about marriage, because I was very much raised in those beliefs ingrained into me, but I'm kind of challenging some of those beliefs in this book. And so I'll share a little bit just at the end of chapter 3. I'm going to share a few excerpts from this book today, the ones that feel more emotional and more poignant to so much of this book and the meaning behind it, and maybe the message that I'm trying to convey through these characters and their story. And because this is women's fiction, this is told only from Elsie's point of view. So it's not a spoiler. This is a marriage at the beginning of this book ending. So not a spoiler. You're going to find out about it in chapter 1. But this is the end of chapter 3. Asking Craig for a divorce and the dull pain of my chronic unhappiness with my marriage had nothing to do with another man. It was me. I hit a point where, to save us, I would have had to let a part of my soul die. Was anyone worth that? I didn't know the answer. Maybe no one did. Maybe there was no distinguishable line between selfless and selfish. Each required a sacrifice. We existed somewhere in the middle, but that middle was incredibly hard to find. Happiness wasn't given, it was self-possessed. It had to come from within to be real. I needed something real again. So this is the emotional state of Elsie. It's the internal conflict she has with her marriage ending, because her marriage isn't ending because of cheating. Her marriage isn't ending because of any one specific thing that has happened. It's been all of these little things, and just falling out of love with a person, and the guilt that goes with that, and how wrong it is for us to put guilt on people if a marriage ends, or how wrong it is for us to allow ourselves to even feel guilt long term after something like this. So yeah, this is her picking up the pieces from a marriage that has ended and moving on and trying to decide what it is that she wants to do with her life. And she jokingly talks about this being a midlife crisis, or the whole idea that you're lost and that you need to be found. And I call this more of a redefining. Elsie's view is that she's redefining who she is. She's not lost and doesn't need to be found. It's not just a midlife crisis. This is a change in her life. So kind of on the same note, I'll jump more towards the end of the book, because this ties in really the whole point of letting go of a relationship, letting go of a marriage, letting go of whatever it is, and that it needs to be okay. It doesn't need to be a failure. It doesn't need to be something where somebody has to take the blame for it. And I think we would have healthier people, healthier relationships, healthier children who could survive their parents getting divorced without feeling like that was a war that they went through to get there. And knowing that it's not a failure. I mean, I think that's so much of the point, is that just because a marriage ends doesn't mean that it failed. So I have, let's see, so this is going to be chapter 26, and I'm only going to read a little bit of this because I don't want to give you spoilers. If I had the page marked. No, it's not chapter 26. I lied. It's chapter 27. Chapter 27 starts with, I made a timeline of my life. Let's say I lived to be 100. Why the heck not? Add 3 years of dating to our 22-year marriage, and that meant I spent 25% of my life with Craig Smith, raising 4 kids. The previous 17 years, or 17% of my life, was spent being a kid and going to school. That left 58%, or 58 years of my life, unaccounted for. The second act, Mary referenced. When we failed to acknowledge individuality and honor autonomy, our very existence lost meaning. It's actually at the top of the chapter, so I'm going to repeat it because I want you to think about it. When we failed to acknowledge individuality and honor autonomy, our very existence lost meaning. I learned to recognize the difference between chapters and the entire book. And it's so funny how when I write things that, yes, they come from my head, but they're inspired by many things, and I have these aha moments when I'm writing books. This was one of them, talking about honoring our autonomy and thinking of your life as a book, and that it is our book. We each have our own book, not chapters within another book. We each have our own book, and we choose who we want to share chapters or space with. So it goes on to say, I shared chapters with many people who came and went from my life, Craig included. However, the book was my story and my story alone. Don't let anyone else write your story. I smiled at Bella's final words to a graduating class as she stood at the podium atop the stage in the auditorium. My words. She repeated my words. So I'm going to stop there because what comes after that is a spoiler. But it is this feeling that can a 22-year marriage be so many chapters in your book? Yep, it can be. Can a 22-year marriage come to an end and have it not be a failure? Yes. Can it just be those chapters? Can it be beautiful and wonderful? Can you have 4 children and celebrate all the years of happiness that you did have together, and walk away and have it be okay? Have it not be something that is a failure. Have it not be something that requires that somebody takes blame. And this is such a moment, that many moments that Elsie has through this book, and her acknowledging that she regrets nothing. Because that's another thing is, well, if you're going to be married for 22 years and it's going to be a failed marriage and that ends in divorce anyways, surely you regret then those years. You could have been spending them with somebody else who was your love of your life and you're going to be with forever. Well, I think we can have many loves in our life, and I think we can share many chapters of our lives with other people, but it's still our story. And I don't think that everything has to end in failure and tragedy and blame. And I think once we can start acknowledging that the people around us are part of our life, but not our whole life. They share chapters in our life, but they don't own our book. And we each have our own book, and nobody else should tell you how to write your book. And I loved being in Elsie's shoes, which in many ways were some of your shoes throughout the writing of this book, because although I feel like I've become a much more open-minded person as my life has gone on, I feel that when I give myself the opportunity to listen to those around me and not be set in my ways, and to look at the bigger picture and to really focus on kindness and on mental health and emotional health, that my life is better. My life is better when I am looking at that bigger picture, when I'm not being judgmental. And that is so much of this book. That is the guilt that these women are feeling for their feelings. Like, we feel guilty for how we feel, and that is such a terrible thing, because we can't stop how we're feeling. You just can't. Like, feelings are not some switch that you can turn on and off, and that is discussed so much through this book in little tiny ways. And yeah, so I'm 11 minutes into this video. I just wanted to discuss that final point, so much of the emotion that went into this book, that I hope that readers will come out with some grander understanding of the people around them, maybe in your own life. Maybe forgive yourself if you feel that you've somehow failed in a marriage or failed in a relationship, or if you think somebody else has failed you, maybe you can look at this through a different lens and realize maybe it wasn't a failure. It doesn't have to be a failure. That it was chapters in a book. That's all it was. It was chapters in a book. It doesn't have to be the whole book. That's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your holiday weekend if you're celebrating Thanksgiving this week. Be safe, be smart. Pick up Not What I Expected on December 6th, and it will be in Kindle Unlimited as well. And we'll talk in a couple weeks about, Much Ado About Nothing. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.